Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we will talk about the sovereignty of God. When you look over your life, what are those moments that seem like pure luck? Some people would say, what are the chances of this happening? You know what I'm talking about. You're in the right place at the right time for the stars to align. Now, I hope you notice I'm speaking from a secular perspective. According to the world, there is luck and chance. But in God's economy, there is no chance. There is no luck. There is only God's control. How can I be so sure? Well, one place to look is in the Book of Ruth. Let's watch as God orchestrates the right place at the right time for the right person. Ruth chapter 2, verse 1 begins this way. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. In chapter 1, we meet Naomi and her daughters-in-law. Naomi, her husband, and her sons leave Bethlehem because of a drought. But in Moab, they experience incredible hardship. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, dies. Their two sons die. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law have some tough decisions to make. Naomi and Ruth eventually return to Bethlehem. Now they are in the vicinity of Naomi's dead husband's relative, Boaz. Boaz was a worthy man. Now, there is some debate as to what this means, but I think we can be sure he's a moral man with financial capacity. What Naomi lacks, Boaz has. He has faith in God. We'll see that in verse 4. He also has resources. So in verse 2, Ruth says, "I'm going to go glean in the fields." What exactly does that mean? Well, according to Jewish law, when workers harvested the fields, the leftovers were to be left for the poor, for the widow, and the alien. You can find this in Deuteronomy chapter 24 and Leviticus chapter 19. So Ruth goes and begins to gather the leftovers. She eventually finds herself in the fields of Boaz, Naomi's relative-in-law. What are the chances of this happening? Let's find out back in verse 4. "And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, 'The Lord be with you.' And they answered, 'The Lord bless you.' Then Boaz said to his young man who was in charge of the reapers, 'Whose young woman is this?' And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, 'She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest." Boaz is at the fields looking over the work. He greets them with a God-centered blessing. And immediately after, Boaz notices this young woman. He wants to know who she is. His servant says, "She's a Moabite who came with Naomi." Now, what are the chances? Out of all the fields Ruth could glean, she ends up in Boaz's. Well, he was a relative of Naomi. He was capable of care. He was God-fearing. What are the chances? With God, 100%. What God has orchestrated will happen. We are seeing this now. Now, we didn't see this happening in chapter 1. We didn't know this connection would occur. We don't know exactly what will happen next. But this was not by accident or luck or chance. It's God's sovereignty on display. So how does this help you trust God? How does it help you understand God and your circumstances? For me, I can see how God has and is orchestrating every interaction I have. Every event is not without purpose. This helps me trust God more and more each day. When we see God's sovereignty over our lives, we will win the day.